Well,
so
it should be fixed now.
okay, it should be fixed now. So that's probably the first thing you've heard. Um, the So the next big event in FamiLAB's glorious history was we became an official 501c3. This was an effort that at the time it was led mostly by Ian. He was spearheaded by Ian, and we got our official nonprofit status, which you, which becomes very beneficial. It's not so for us. It's not so much important for tax purposes per se, as you actually have to be making a profit to end up having to pay taxes, and we don't do that anyway. But it allows us to get donations and allows people to donate stuff to us as a nonprofit and take credit on their taxes. And that was really a huge step and quite a bit of, it's one of the government bureaucracy, a lot of hoops and checklists and bureaucracy to go through, something that many of us weren't really either good at or enthusiastic enough about trying to deal with that. But fortunately, at the time, we had Ian. And anybody who knows Ian knows that he is good at dealing with stuff like that. Next slide. Then by 2013, we jumped up a huge amount. Remember, we started off at 800 square foot and then went to 400. Then we went to 4,000, and it was incredible. We used to have a little area taped off in the front of the what is now the old space that marked off the dimensions of the previous 400 square foot space, and it was just ridiculous looking in there. So this, this is when we first moved into this set of buildings where we are now that is operated by Dave Woods. And, Dave Woods was is a really, really awesome dude that saw what we were doing. He was really into what we were doing, and he gave us a good deal on the space to help support us, and has made a lot of what we have today possible. And it's the one thing when I think back on like the history of it is of everything. And sometimes I feel kind of like it's, say I don't want to take any credit for much of this because I wasn't one of the real. I don't ever feel like I was one of the real driving factors early on. I just kind of kept encouraging people, hey, I think you're doing something cool. But there was a really good mix of people that all contributed in different ways and made this possible. Like I say, Dave Woods, Ian Cole, I could just go, Dan Lewis, other people that were just really kind of came together to make this a great community and to make it actually happen. More importantly than anything else, they just made it happen and kept it going. And I'm so thankful to all of them and everyone else who has done this and kept it going over the years. And I apologize to anybody who, if I don't mention your name, but some of the people here, Mike and Jamie and Willa and everybody else over the years. It's just I can't thank you guys enough for it. Next slide. And I didn't know if I going through the whole thing. If I'm running over anybody else's slides, just yell at me to stop talking. I'm always happy to.
We have Roger slated for 4.0 onward.
Okay, that's what I thought. So
I have some popcorn.
Yes. So at this point, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Roger and let him continue.
He was running late. Did he pop in here?
Oh.
I don't see him.
Okay.
You want?
In that case, if you want, I can do my best Roger impersonation and just continue. My best.
Yeah, just pull out a knife, you'll be fine.
All right.
So Dan, take away.
My best Roger impersonation is not very good. It sounds just like me. So the FamiLAB 4.0. This was a sorry. Um, yes, I'll wrap myself in bubble wrap and play with knives. Um, FamiLAB 4.0 was a seemingly more modest increase in space. It was only a 1.5 times, but that actually took us from 4,000 square foot to 6,000 square foot, which is actually pretty huge. It just wasn't, didn't have the drama of the 400 to 4,000, but it was definitely a huge increase, and that is the space that we're in today. And more importantly than it just being a bigger space, it was a space that hey, there's Roger. That members of FamiLAB actually ended up designing. A lot of the interior air, well, it's all air conditioned, I guess, but the officey type space and the classroom and the rooms up front were actually designed and laid out by um, uh, FamiLAB members, and designed, laid out, built, maintained, all by FamiLAB members, and financed uh, in good part by Dave Woods. He gave us a yet another good deal on you know on taking, normally when you have a building space, and if you're a tenant in there and you do a build out, the landlord will cover the initial costs but work it into your rent that you pay it back over time. And Dave Woods did that, but at a greatly reduced rate, where he basically covered a significant portion, like half or more of it, over time, and gave us a chance to build up our membership to cover those costs over a long period of time, which, again, something without which we wouldn't have the space we have right now. Um, let's see. Hey, look, this is people building the space. This is what it looked like halfway through the construction. Um, One of my favorite little stories about it is that a lot of the people, these are all people that helped participate with the build out, and hidden in the walls of the space, you can find various RFID cards that were embedded in there with little information by some of the people who helped build it out. Let's see. So, um, Roger, if you want to, I'm not sure if I kind of just kept going a little bit further than where I was supposed to. Um, I'm not sure if this is part you were going to take over, or.
I'll take over.
Okay.
So since we built out and since we moved into the new space, this allowed FamiLAB to do some really awesome things. So one of those things is we were able to take this awesome donation from the Sebring Airport of machines. They were free. We just had to get them here. So we were able to get another vertical mill, another CNC mill that is mostly functional right now. We were able to build the DIY BioLab, which you can see some of the things they have grown in there. We were able to house a scanning electron microscope that Dave Casey and John Cope are working on getting back up and running. That's the big wooden box that's in the warehouse. They've had to stop due to COVID, but they're completely rebuilding the thing. It's really awesome. And it's also allowed us to partake in awesome events like Maker Faire. This is kind of a collection over the years of the different FamiLAB members that have had an appearance at Maker Faire. It's allowed us to have 4th of July parties where we've blown up lots of fireworks. And here's an example of some of the stuff that Labbies have made or have been part of classes done at FamiLAB. Then in 2019, we improved the warehouse. We got new pallet racking to go around the exterior, which helped us get a lot of stuff that was kind of like piled up. but or long-term storage. We were able to get it up and out of the way. Dave Smith built us an awesome new 4.0 happened 2016, 15. Dave Smith built us an awesome new AC control. And it's just awesome that members come together and do these upgrades for FamiLAB. 2020 and beyond.
That's me.
So Michelle's going to take it on from here.
Okay. So yeah, FamiLAB 2020. That was the dumpster fire, but we made it. We definitely had to go through and make some new safety rules to keep everyone safe. We did lose some members due to financial issues, but hopefully once everything gets back to the new normal, we'll be able to invite those back. And thank you to everyone that's been hanging in there. So, hopefully it'll get better. And then when we did have to shut down, thank you to Blackheart, who was trying to do some online classes for us. So that was helpful in the beginning as well. In the next slide, sorry, no, go back. I'm one slide behind you. Go forward, one. There we go. All right, so FamiLAB joined the mask initiative to help make masks. I think it started out with trying to help with the medical professions and hospitals and stuff like that. And then we got lots and lots of plastic donated from Coke, and many of our lab members were vital in coordinating and designing to help make those masks. Many had donated money as well, especially Dave Woods was one of those that helped donate some money. We roughly made about 4,000 shields, and I think we were able to donate about half of those. We did about 4,000 ear savers as well. My math might be a little off, give or take or some. And then many of the lab members donated countless hours with designing, lasering, 3D printing, transporting all of the masks and the plastic and stuff like that. So thank you to all those that were violent in helping out with that. And next slide. And then looking towards the future, so hopefully we won't burn it to the ground, but hopefully we'll be able to start those 4th of July parties again, and we'll try our best. So we've discussed it here and there, touched on many ideas about what we want to do for the future. But basically, it's really up to the membership as a whole to see, where we're going to move forward with. We do have things that we do want to work on. Like right now, we're trying to update our wiki and our website and stuff like that. But as far as getting everybody back into the actual lab and start doing things, we want to start doing some more outreach, get those classes back up and running, and really do more community engagement. As the board, we can help foster some of these things, like the Learn to Solder at Maker Faire. So fingers crossed that we get to have Maker Faire this year. We can help coordinate, volunteers and supplies and stuff like that at Maker Faire. But from here on out, once we can start getting back in, the membership has to work together to keep the lab going.
We just need a vaccine and people to stop being sick.
I'll get it as soon as I can.
I know. Yeah, like a lot of our
Friday.
future plans are dependent on when does the world reopen. Like we are very eager to have members back in FamiLAB to be able to have public events as soon as it is safe to do so. But unfortunately, due to the state of the world we live in, it's kind of a holding pattern, and it has been for a year, which is frustrating, but we would much rather y'all be well in the long term than for us to get some self-satisfaction in the short term. So we as the board will continue holding the circling pattern and holding the line, so that everyone has a FamiLAB to come back to. Next is, once I get back to the right tab, monies. So Dan is going to take us through our yearly financials.
Okay. Yeah. So I keep a lot of Jamie's cat pictures in here and added some of my own. So because for some reason it still makes sense.
More
And
floofs.
then I put in some of my own flavor because how does accounting work? Witchcraft, science fiction, and beer. But mainly I put this in here because I am amazed by the fact that in 1973 there was an episode of Star Trek the Animated Series where Spock summoned the devil and had a beer with him. But that's really got very little to do with accounting. Anyway, next slide. Okay, one more just caveat that I'm not a financial person. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a FamiLAB volunteer. But don't let that worry you, because we have income. There's basically two things we have. It's income and expenses. Our income, this pie chart, it may be a little hard to read on there, but that big blue giant Pac-Man thing is member dues. And all the little slices are everything else. As you can see, the vast majority of our money comes from membership dues, which is to be expected. And the others, there are other things we bring in from various donations, activities, classes throughout the year. And this year we had a total income of about 55,000 and some change. Next slide. The important thing about that number is our expenses totaled about 53,700 and some change, which is less than what the income was. That's a good thing, especially this year. Honestly, these numbers are based off of the last calendar year, not just through December. It's amazing that we were able to do as well as we did last year. A lot of it was by keeping down some of the expenses. Some of that was a natural impact of less people in the lab, less electricity spent at the lab, but there were other efforts that were made to bring down expenses, and we had some fortunate things that were going on with the lease that I'll explain a bit later. Or just a moment. I don't mean to sound like I'm going to talk forever here. But as you can see, once again, the big giant blue Pac-Man is our biggest expense, and that is our lease. The second biggest thing, the big red chunk there, is the utilities. Everything else is fairly minor compared to those big two dominant factors. Next slide. So, just diving into the utilities a bit, since they're a significant chunk, the electricity accounts for just over half, and this was actually significantly down this year. In past years, it's a bit bigger chunk. Internet is the next biggest one, and then trash and it goes down from there. So the significance of putting this up here is that even prior to COVID, we had been asking people to make a effort to try to cut back on expenses or on particularly like the electricity use, because that's the easiest thing to try to control on a regular basis. And even prior to the whole COVID thing, people were doing a great job of doing that. I think it was Lily had mentioned about Dave Smith having built a fancy AC controller to help us keep a better handle of that back in the lab space. And the effort's really appreciated, and it helps us out a lot. Next slide. This is showing our membership over the years, over the past 5 to 6 years. This actually it does show that there has been a little bit of a downward trend in this past year or so. Um, that's obviously a portion of that's due to COVID. I will say that um, um, it's amazing. I think it's amazing how few people we have lost to that. From what I've heard at other hacker spaces, maker spaces around the country, some of them were losing a third of their membership this last year. Uh, we basically lost a handful of people. I mean, I think we went from like a high from our high to our low. It's only about 7 or 8 people difference in the membership, which is really just pretty incredible. And I'm really, really happy about that. Yeah, it's a good community, and it's good. It's good that people. I find it heartening that during all of this time that people felt that was important enough to them, that FamiLAB was important enough to them to keep their membership up and keep it going. Next slide. This is showing our lease. The blue is the lease, our base rent. The red was the loan payout. That was the loan for the build out. And as I said before, one of the cool things that Dave Woods did for us was he let us not have to take the full impact of that payout right away. We paid it back over time at an increasing rate as our membership increased. In addition to that, he just flat out covered a good portion of it and only made us pay back a small portion of it, or roughly half of it. But one of the most important things is if you look there at the Q1 2020, that was the last part of the loan payout that we had to pay off, and it dropped our lease. Basically it was about $1,000 a month by that point. That dropped off, which brought our rent expense from about $4,000 a month to $3,000, right about the time when everything went to hell. So the timing on that was really, really pretty fortunate. One of the things that this doesn't show, because I was just doing this for this last calendar year, the method that that Dave Woods uses for calculating our rent takes into account factors such as the unemployment and the consumer price index. And due to what happened over the last year, with the unemployment being so high, our rent has actually come down from this point now. So we're paying probably around, say, about $500 less than what this is showing now, which again, that's been fortunate for us and very helpful to help weather some of the losses that we've had over the last year, and kind of build up a little bit of a buffer for any future problems that we might have. Next slide. Yep, more cats. I like the ones that were there before, but the one on the right is mine. So I like my cats. Just going through again, I think this actually probably is pretty redundant compared to what we've seen before. Again, just showing that the rent is the big portion of it. Power is the next biggest portion of it. Next slide. And again, one of my cats on the right. Next slide. If you break down the membership dues of what you pay for the $50 a month, with how things are currently working, about $31.25 of that goes towards the rent, about $12.55 goes towards utilities, and everything else is what's left over, including a tiny little pink section that is the remainder. That's why we ended up having a bit extra money in the bank right now. A bit more money in the bank than we had at the beginning of the year. And next slide. So just as a general overall state of the lab. 2020 was a really, really weird year. Everybody knows that. We did very well holding on to our membership. The timing of the loan payout ending was very fortunate for us, and we actually have a pretty good buffer right now. We're not bringing in loads of extra money every month. We still need to be conservative with stuff, and particularly because one of the things that is going to be interesting as things start coming back and happening more and more is that we've had very low expenses at the lab over this last year, particularly when it comes to electricity usage. That's likely to increase as we get more activity at the lab. So we just need to be aware of that. And fortunately, I think as more activity increases in the lab, we'll probably gain some more members, and that will that I'm sure that's going to help offset or more than offset the increased expenses. But we're in a good position right now to have a bit of buffer. So if we have some unexpected expenses, it's not going to cripple us. So that's pretty much it for me. And a final one of one more of my cats. If anybody's got any questions, feel free to ask Lily whatever you want.
Wait, what? I am the accounting professional in this operation.
Yes.
Lab cannot get a cat because no.
I am the unprofessional accountant of the lab. So, anyway.
We went through. Oh, crap.
It's like a Bollywood knockoff of the Ryan Reynolds film.
All right.
So,
after all of that, as a palate cleanser each year, we like to do fun with numbers. So this is 2019, I believe, and this is just a kind of Slack explanation, just how many messages we sent, what everyone's points were, who was the top poster, and then this is 2019, and then for 2020, I've done something a little different. I've taken the top contributors, the top point havers, and I also wanted to find what was the top channel for I think it was the last 90 days at this point. And interestingly, there's been a lot going on in space, which I guess reality matches. So you can see the top channels on Slack were space, general meta, electronics, gaming, and that's really nice because it's really nice to see that people have been maintaining conversation, maintaining social aspects, and you can also see that Ming has joined. You can also see the top people that have been posting and sending messages. I think that, don't recall if that's last 90 days or all time. Take last 90. Amazon Smile. So anytime you make a purchase with Amazon, you can select us as the nonprofit to make a donation to via Amazon Smile. And to date, FamiLAB members have contributed $4,845.21 to FamiLAB, which is amazing. It's about $1,000 a year, and that's free money virtually. Like whoever uses Amazon, a portion of their purchase gets donated back to FamiLAB, Orlando Hackerspaces Inc., our business name. And thank you to everyone who does that. Another way to donate back to FamiLAB is Humble Bundle. Not sure. I think we have yet to hit the threshold to get a donation back, but it is another option. This year, something that has been kind of revitalized is folding at home. So folding at home is you're donating idle computer power to solving web medical stuff, someone else probably knows better. But you're donating idle computer power to better society. And that was very important in the early days of the pandemic when they were trying to sequence genome for COVID and trying to get progress on treatments and on the vaccine. A lot of our members reinstalled folding at home or re-enabled it, and we propelled to 910 out of 225,000 people. So thank you to everyone that has contributed to that. So now Blackheart's going to talk to y'all about the operations team.
The slide, it doesn't have my googly eyes. Yeah, so FamiLAB being a community space, like there's no paid employees, there's nobody in charge of like keeping things together besides like the board being a volunteer effort. Really, everything's a volunteer effort. So the way that things really get done is like just below the board is the ops team, which is all volunteer members that are around frequently and are willing to donate their time to help run the daily operations of the lab, making sure it doesn't burn down, that we've got toilet paper, all that kind of stuff. So if there's anything like super urgent that needs to be taken care of, obviously we've got channels like Broken or Lab Ops and Management, but you can tag the ops team or email the ops team directly to like really directly get somebody on the horn if there's something. Luckily in the past year there's not really been enough activity that's been a problem, but you know, it's there. And logo.
So yeah, the ops team, very useful. Do you have anything else that you would like to add, Blackheart? I know you were a ops member before you joined board.
Yeah, so it's going to be more important, especially in the next year, that we get people involved in ops. Obviously, it's been a slow year in 2020 for obvious reasons, but as we've got, I think we're up to over 100,000 vaccinations out there now, so like a third of the country, so we're on good progress. Hopefully by like the end of the summer, things will be back to the new normal, which means that we will have more opportunity for classes and activity in the lab, which means we will need people to help make sure it doesn't burn down and that there's toilet paper and all that stuff. So if you are somebody who planned to be really frequent at the lab and expects to have more time now in 2021, consider reaching out and figuring out if you can join the ops team. I mean, it's all volunteer stuff. It's just, you know, people who are around often enough to help take care of the lab and make sure that it's all clean and taken care of.
Hey, can you help coordinate a tour? Hey, we have a welding cylinder that needs to be swapped out. We just need somebody to be there to let them in the door.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like we say we say buying toilet paper as a joke. It does help to have somebody that can help us go and buy supplies. But it's not just buying the toilet paper. It's helping create a positive public face for the lab, because we use ops as points of contact for members with questions. We use ops for buying supplies or being there for supply swaps like the welding cylinder, or to help coordinate taking a delivery of something. It's just very useful members who are very knowledgeable and responsible.
And tours and integrating new members is definitely going to be one of those big things coming into the new year. Just it's been slow trying to introduce people because obviously like social distancing and limiting the number of people in the space makes it hard to do the proper kind of open houses we used to, but that's hopefully going to become more of a thing, and getting more new blood into the space is going to be just good for the community.
Yeah, and it's been a challenge because it's one thing to get new members, it's another thing to get new community members. Like, sure, they can come, they can get through the membership process, pay $50 a month, use the space, but ideally our members are part of the community. They integrate in, they make a few friends, they share knowledge. That's the ideal.
Yeah, it's useful to have the 3 a.m. laser people around sometimes, but like it's better to have the people who are, you know, the core group that we're always hanging out Tuesday nights, Saturday nights, actually around sharing ideas, making stuff. That's when the lab is the best.
Board of Directors. So, Board of Directors, what do? We, the Board of Directors, do all of the business crap. We are the ones that we make sure that the lab can stay open for everybody, and we, make sure that all the bills get paid, all of the legal stuff's taken care of each year. If we can, we fill out grants to try to get us more ability to do that. Because FamiLAB is at its core a business, so we try to keep that business going with as minimal impact to the membership as possible. How to contact the board. If it's not immediately urgent, please email us at board@familab.org. We do have an anonymous issue reporting at l.familab.org/issues. And anything related to treasury, money, membership dues, etc., email treasurer@familab.org. There's also a Slack, an @board that will summon all of us to wherever. Please use it sparingly. If joining the board sounds like something you would like to do, you should have paid attention to Slack, because the nomination process is every annual meeting we elect new board members. L stands for link. Duh. So this is a very unconventional year. There's not been a lot of activity at FamiLAB. And like I said earlier, there's been a lot of holding the course and staying the line, where we've just been trying to stay steady with what we've been doing. As a result of that, currently we only have 2 nominees for 3 open positions. Normally, we have board elections at the annual meeting, but as we only have 2 people for 3 open positions, we're going to forego the voting, just because it's a whole lot less hassle for us as the board, a lot less hassle for you as the membership, and nobody wastes their time. Hopefully, we're looking forward to the day we get back to normal, because everyone wants to get there. And with any voting, you have the potential of just one person being voted above the other. And then this current board does not have that issue, but I just wanted to eliminate any potential for that, because I want to maintain that all of the board for voting purposes is equal. I would like to have the 2 people that were up for election just talk briefly about themselves and their goals as a board member and what have you.
Yeah, okay. Thought we were skipping this part.
We can.
Put her on the spot.
Okay. Yeah, so most of you know, I've been around since 2016. I am a current board member, trying to keep up with doing the secretary type stuff, which I'm not always great at, but I do my best, like everybody. Obviously, I like gifts and memes. But like my hopes or my goal for us moving forward is definitely, like we said before, doing more community outreach. I think once we get out of this COVID era, and then more people are getting the vaccines and we're safe, that lots of people are going to be desperate to get out and do stuff, and that's where FamiLAB can jump in as, like, not just like the board, but all of us, where we can jump in and hopefully hold more classes and meetups and stuff like that. So that's what I would like to see in the future for us. That's it.
Okay. Next one would be Brian, who up until a week ago, never had a webcam.
Yeah, so I did get a webcam. I have that now. Still don't have any pictures. But I have been a member since 2016. I might be one of the most accomplished members, having completed 3 entire projects. I was
Fight
formerly
me, Brian.
formerly on the ops team. I'm currently a board member. I'm also really bad at PowerPoint. This pandemic, I have also discovered lightsabers are really good at keeping people 6 feet away. And I'd like to help bring back more of the community aspects of the lab. I miss those Tuesday nights when we all gathered. So I want to see those sort of things start to come back once the COVID stuff has happened. Or finished happening, I guess.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you, Michelle. I look forward to working with you this coming year on the board. I think that right now the board is in very good shape. Like, even everything happening, like the current board is, we all are all of the same mind of where we would like to see FamiLAB go and what we would like to accomplish once it is safe to do so. So at this point of the meeting, we generally have open discussion. If there's anything anybody else wants to address, bring forward, talk about. I know that people have been active in the chat while the meeting has gone on, but if anyone would like to enter anything into official business, now is your time, or forever hold your peace until next month.
The catering was awful this year.
I was
My
going to say
catering-
that.
My catering was popcorn and it came with alcohol.
I was just going to say thank you for the board.
My secret?
I
I
no
was going
longer
to say, go ahead.
I no longer work at Four Rivers, so I cannot deliver you cheese grits anymore.
All right, tacos.
And thank Christ, because I would be a poor bitch right now if I was still working in food service.
I was going to say thank you to the board for holding everything together over the last crazy, 12, 13 months or so. It's been just nuts. And I look forward to returning very soon to see everyone.
We look forward to yelling at you in person.
That's the best way. It's
Yep.
the best.
And drinking your whiskey.
I have become quite a whiskey connoisseur over the last 12 months. I don't know why.
So unless anyone has any other questions, comments, concerns, /other, I'd like to officially adjourn this year's annual meeting now. Like I said, this is a lot shorter than we usually go, but it is virtual. And also, I didn't want to keep everyone for a long time, for a year in which nothing really changed because COVID. My big goal was to reassure the membership that we have maintained the course. We have been fortunate to continue building off the success of previous boards in keeping the organization functional, both financially and otherwise. We've, like Dan and myself as kind of the treasury team, he's the treasurer. I help and poke him about things. We've built on the success of Jamie and Ian and previous treasurers in just making it easy to keep the organization running financially. And that we do have something of a plan for someday when COVID ends. Please do not
Where's my
add
Lambo?
black powder to the can crusher. I just looked over, and that is a terrible idea. The can crusher is currently broken because it's made of wood, and having 20 pounds drop on it repeatedly is a bad idea.
I was there when it was broken. So was Lily.
Yeah, the final death drop was Liz Chavaria from Atlanta.
She's in Baltimore now.
Yeah, she's a Sporkanock teammate. But thank you all for coming to the meeting. Thank you all for continuing your membership. Thank you all for being a part of all of our lives. Don't forget to love each other and other Critical Role things I commonly steal. And we'll end the annual meeting there. And we look forward to the next year of hopefully getting back to in-person meetings and seeing y'all's face in person. Bye.
Thank you, board.
Bye.
We're not meeting. We're just going to be closing the recording and the official time so we can talk about dicks.
Finally, jeez.
Hold on, let me stop the recording. Let me stop the stream.